Alright, so this is going to be a little bit longer of a video about process, what I'm doing right now, clay making. I'm I just came outside. I learned that I can pause the video. So here's where the clay starts its journey at the shop. I keep a big pile. And this is going to weather through the sun and rain. This is just going to be a longer format video about clay processing and maybe some other tidbits around the studio while I'm here. Show you what the yard looks like of the shop. We just built some shelves yesterday in the kiln shed to hold the shelves for shelves. But again, back to the clay. I usually, every day, I'll come out here and rake some clay over to the side here with the hoe, the garden hoe. And that way this can start to dry. Need it to dry really well so that when I add it to the water, it dissolves quickly and it will make a really nice slurry as long as it's dry. If it's wet, it can go in there and stay about as wet as it already is. So if it's kind of clumpy and thick, even if it's like throwing clay, it can go in the water when you go to blend it and not dissolve very well. So that's just a little tidbit. And what I'll do is add some powdered clay to that first batch. I use any kind of ball clay. I'll add about 10 to 20% of a ball clay. And for those of you who aren't pot makers, a ball clay is just a fine, usually white or off-white colored clay. The particle size is really fine. So it kind of fills in the voids. It's almost like mixing a mortar or a concrete or something to make a clay body. And between these larger chunky particles of this red clay that I use, local red clay, you need something to fill in the voids or else you can get cracking really bad, which I've dealt with over the years. And my friend Josh at Laguna Clay has helped me develop a clay recipe that I use, and that's what you see over here. It's just red clay and white clay, about, like I said, about 10 to 20% of the white clay or ball clay. And the red clay is just an iron bearing clay. I found it locally a couple years ago, tested it a few times, firing, rolling a coil and wrapping that coil around my finger. You just roll a coil and make like a snake, a long piece, and try to wrap it around your finger without it breaking. If it can wrap around your finger without cracking, then it probably has enough plasticity to make a good clay. This clay did that. However, when I made bigger pots, I started seeing some cracking. So I add a ball clay. Here's what I use now, actually, at the moment. It is called Bell Dark clay. The print on there is very hard to see, but you see it's just a powder white clay for those unfamiliar. Yeah, we'll go back inside here and show what happens next. So like I said, I add some of that to the mix. I guess we'll go right back out here and finish the story. So like I said, I blend it with water in the big barrel. Got some poison ivy there. Blend it with a big drill bit mixer, you know, seen them on construction sites and stuff. I'll set up down below my screen. I'll just set it on some boards across my evaporator and turn on the valve there and just kind of keep it moving, let it work its way through. After blending it real well, I usually just fill this thing up as high as it'll go without, you know, spilling over. And after a week, it's still kind of sloppy. This is probably week and a half. We've had a lot of rain here, so this has been about a week and a half, 2 weeks with a lot of rain. It's usually kind of doughy enough that you can scoop it out with a shovel when it's ready to go to the next step and be put into the mixer. So I use the screen to get any rocks or roots. It's actually sticks and stuff in the clay. We don't really want that to go in the mixer. So I've found the best way I've found is to slop it like that. And then into the mixer here, I add the same exact ratio of dry material to get a nice, usually a lot wetter than I'm actually going to use it while I'm making pots. I let it stiffen up over a couple of days, and I might leave it on the floor here overnight and throw it back through the mixer tomorrow. And after that, well, you see I got a bunch of stuff going on at the moment. I'm trying to build some shelves and additional stuff around the shop that I need. But I use wheels around the shop in case I need to move stuff around. I've got all kinds of stuff that has wheels on it. So clay can get stored on these. Usually I'll just lay out a big sheet of plastic, and as it comes out of the mixer, I will just go ahead and stop that for now. As it comes out of the mixer, I'll stack it on my carts. And this is a pile of clay. It's been in here for about 3 weeks. Got some pots. It's a little shop tour. Got 2 different mixers. Throwing area. Got a lot going on at the moment, so thanks for stopping by.